Welcome to pre-free agency day, although it
Mm.
seems like it's actually free agency day. We're going to get to a lot of what's going on here in just a minute. Dennis Bernstein, Dave Pagnotta. This is the latest presented by Carlsberg, probably the best beer in the world. DB, the free agent doors open up on July 1st at noon Eastern, and it seems like everyone just decided they wanted to sign now. Mitch Marner is a Vegas Golden Knight. He inks an 8-year, $96 million contract with Toronto in a sign and trade. He heads over to Vegas. Nick Waugh goes to Toronto.
Yeah. Dave, in the old days, I used to get up at 6 a.m. LA time for July 1st.
Yeah.
Now I might get up about like 8:59. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of pre July 1st activity here. We heard it for weeks. Mitch Marner's going to Vegas. We didn't hear a lot about 8 years, but that's what it wound up was. And look, we know how the dominoes are going to fall in Vegas, right? Nick Waugh goes back to Toronto, and that's a nice pickup for that team. For a guy who wasn't going to sign there, I understand why. That cap hit. You've talked about Petro and his ability to play next season, so it fits there. And look, this is one of the aggressive franchises in the NHL, the Vegas Golden Knights. They always seem to go after the bright, shiny toy in free agency or in the trade market every offseason. And Kelly McCrimmon and George McPhee have done it again.
They absolutely have. As reported over the weekend, Alex Pietrangelo, it's not just his season that might be over. It might be his playing
Yeah.
career, which is certainly unfortunate. He's got two major issues that he's got to deal with over the course of the summer. It's an $8.8 million cap hit that they can utilize as LTIR if they need to kind of get that extra space. They move out Nick Watt at $3 million. There's your money. That's $11.8 million right there for Mitch Marner's 12, and then they'll kind of figure out the rest of what they want to do. But they get that locked in. They're going to start to try to get Jack Eichel locked into a long-term extension. He's eligible to sign tomorrow. So we'll see kind of how that all unfolds. Other big news, we reported for weeks that Sam Bennett was going 8x8 in Florida. And everyone said, no, it's not going to happen. Well, guess what? It happened. Then we started to hear at the Stanley Cup final during the on-ice celebrations, Bill Zito saying, I'm going to try to sign everybody. Brad Marchand, he's staying. 6-year deal, $5.33 million. Aaron Ekblad, he's staying. 6.1 million, 8 years. It looks like they're working on, as we're doing this, working on Thomas Nosek to get him locked in as well.
Mm-hmm.
DB, holy cow, Bill Zito, what masterful work.
I think the over-under on those three guys returning was about 1.5, Dave. And it was 3 of 3. You know what this does, though? It also clinches the fact that Jim Nill will win GM of the Year next year. That's what he'll win this focus at, because this guy in Florida, brilliant. I don't want to hear about state taxes. Here's what I want to hear about. Culture, winning, lifestyle, getting winning players to stay. It's all, they check all the boxes. And was it an upset? Yeah. Like, did Aaron Ekblad take a deep discount to stay in Florida? Yeah, but what's the point? Why leave? Where are you going to go to a better situation? Sure, the money. See, Dave, it's not always about the money. They always say it's about the money, but it's not. It's not always. Here's proof. Both those players could have gone to market and got more money. They chose to stay there.
And the interesting thing with Brad Marchand's deal is when it's done, he'll be 43. Whether he's going to be playing, we'll see. And then, look, Aaron Ekblad, he's been adamant the whole time about wanting to stay in South Florida. His wife loves it there. He loves it there. She works there in the medical community. They wanted to stay, and they get this one done at $6.1 million. Now, they had pushed for so long to try to get it to the sevens on a shorter term. They get the overall dollars. It spreads out, and that's what we've got. Columbus locks in Ivan Provorov, 7 years, $8.5 million contract. That took basically to the wire to get done for Columbus.
Yeah, and remember, Dave, we were with Don Waddell at the Stadium Series. And he was talking about pro at that point. So from there back in February, March to now, wow, that's a long wait. But a guy who would have hit the market, pricey for that player, that's pricey. But that's where the market's going, Dave. And here, the big picture is, people forget this is not a flat cap anymore. Like, that's not that arduous a deal that you need to do all these machinations to fit Provorov into the salary structure with the cap situation in Columbus. And that's going to be true of a lot of different teams that you're going to see big tickets, and it's not going to be that much heavy lifting to get them under the cap next season.
What I can tell you is already rumblings that the Provorov deal may affect the K'Andre Miller deal with the New York Rangers. He's a restricted free agent, or can be, if he doesn't get a deal done by tomorrow. But those negotiations in New York continue as they're also exploring the trade market on him. Circling back to Toronto, the Maple Leafs have been very active in the trade market. They brought in Matthias Michelli today from Utah. They're actively shopping Kalle Järnkrok and David Kampf. Doesn't seem like there's been much of a market for them, but maybe that changes now that guys are signing everywhere and we get past July 1. But those guys are readily available. Toronto is still looking. A lot of the word that we had been hearing had been, some of the top free agents weren't overly interested in going to Toronto, which may mean that Brad Treliving has to work the trade phone lines a little bit more aggressively. And that seems to be what he's doing, DB, as he's looking for another top six winger.
Yeah, it's not always about free agent. And Dave, the free agent pool is shallow anyway.
Yeah.
And so to get a difference maker at this point in time, you're going to have to make a trade, right? Other than maybe Brock Besser, right, or Nikolai Ehlers. There's one or two guys, but by and large, if you want to improve your roster and your GM in this league, you're going to have to make trades, which you and I will both welcome.
Absolutely. Gives us more to talk about this week and going into tomorrow. Brock Besser, see you later, Vancouver. He's going to be looking around. We know that Boston's in the mix, Edmonton, Los Angeles there. Nick Ehlers, keep a big eye on Carolina. They've been tied to him. I'm curious about Anaheim, if they get into the mix and try to throw some money at either of those two players, along with the Blue Jackets, who spent some money here today. We'll wrap things out here quickly in your backyard. Andrei Kuzmenko staying in Los Angeles 1 year, $4.3 million.
Yeah, good deal for the team. Good deal for Kuzmenko. Came in, fit in well with respect to getting a right-handed presence on the power play. Wasn't that great in the playoffs, but certainly helped them down the stretch. I think what it does, Dave, you mentioned Brock Besser in Los Angeles. I think the likelihood gets reduced now with Kuzmenko there, because the top 9 forward that Ken Holland said he was looking for last week, he had here, re-signed him here. So I'm eager to see if they make any moves. And LA has 2 holes on the defense now. Lefty with Gavrikov, and certainly what Provorov signed for may affect that price as we get to tomorrow. And then replacing Jordan Spence, who was dealt to Ottawa earlier last week.
Buckle up. It's not done yet, although there's been so much today. We got more that's likely to occur as things get into the evening and the night hour. And then tomorrow morning, as everybody rushes to the floodgates of free agency, opening at noon Eastern. Stick with us here on the fourth period. Kate will join us tomorrow. We'll get reaction from both myself and from Dennis as well. And check with us on SiriusXM NHL Network Radio, as well as NHL Network. Busy day, busy week, almost done. This is the latest here on the fourth period, presented by Carlsberg.